A long, long time ago, in the mid-17th century, there stood a grand stony kingdom tucked away in the center of the Derivatory Mountains like an oasis in the Sahara Desert. The valley between the mountains in which the kingdom lay stood at an elevation of 666 feet above sea level, giving the perfect set of conditions for tropical rainforests to grow all around the mountain's exterior. Jungles dense with prickly progenitor bushes, predatory pythons with enough venom to kill a horse, and a delusionary fog that is so dense it's believed all who enter will be lost forever. In the center of the kingdom stood the momentous castle of the land's tyrannical ruler of Kalktopia, Queen Gammertsfelder. Queen G was praised by her disciples for being the wisest of all humans known for her math skills and desire to always be the best. One fateful morning, as the queen was enjoying her ceramic chalice of whole milk straight from the cow's udder on her gold-plated throne, a loud creak of the hall doors disrupted her pig-laden choir. Disturbed, Queen G sent the choir away and called for the intruders to enter the grand hall at once. Slowly walking in, a measly man with wooden clogs for shoes and cut-up potato sacks for clothes, the city's historian Fregley approached, shadowed down upon by the queen's ginormous royal guard dressed in full chainmail. The guard shoved Fregley to the base of the Queen G's almighty throne and demanded what was the reason for his rude interruption. Fregley cowardly mumbles out, "Your Majesty, I am so sorry for the disturbance, but this news is of the utmost importance and needs to be brought to your attention as soon as possible." "What could be so important on this shallow morning that my stature must be invoked into peasantry dialogue?" the queen chanted in an annoyed tone. "It has come to my attention, your Queen G, that there's word of a magical horse bestowed the name of Jared, who lives atop of the tallest tree in the jungle," courageously said Fregley before continuing. It is prophesied he is a math prodigy of levels immeasurably greater than yours, your highness." "What?" screamed Queen G, enraged in envy. "How dare thy pupils speculate in an individual wiser than their all-knowledgeable ruler?" Fregley, now frightened by the queen's voice, says, "The people are starting to question your authority. You must find this Jared and demand of him to face off against you in a mathathon to show who's the smartest of them all." Queen G, in protection of her honor, boastfully agrees to Fregley's suggestion before sending him away to his prized children. Second born of the brothers, a jujitsu master and head of the city police, Carl is the first to arrive at his mother's call. Second to show up is the eldest of the brothers, Michael, famous Olympiad and the most neglected growing up, getting the worst of the treatment for having to carry the burden of watching his siblings. Next is the scholar of the boys and trophy child, Miles, always getting the best grades in all the girls. Rushed and late to enter was the troublemaker of the bunch, Oliver, growing up as the youngest child and getting whatever he wanted without work or punishment. Queen G stood in front of her children and declared, "My kin, I have been given word of a magical horse in the jungle, past the mountain border, who has spoken treason against your mother, dearest, and must be brought to me for judgment. With this being said, whichever one of you, my sons, brings Jared the horse to me first, will earn the right to the throne, when I inevitably step down in the late future." Queen G added. The four sons humbly accepted their mother's request and set out on their journeys to bring back Jared. First to enter the jungle is Carl, sprinting over the hills, jumping across the rivers, and swinging between vine to vine, inching closer and closer to the massive tree. Though Carl was fast and energetic, he lacked the forethought and fell into a spike pit on the other side of a fallen tree, sadly losing his life. Next to run into the jungle was Miles, who saw that the safest way to traverse the jungle was to move across the tree tops, going from one roof to another. Except it didn't work out. He idea to avoid the wild ground, but he exposed himself to the flying creatures of the night and daringly met his demise. Third to enter the jungle after their younger brothers was the oldest, Michael, who calculated mining underground would be the safest option to get to the tree. Without waste, Michael began digging, and soon enough, he stumbled across an old mine shaft. He decided it would save him more time to follow the pre-made tunnels. As he began walking down the mine shaft, he accidentally tripped on a tripwire and caused the shaft to cave in on top of him, suffocating him before he could speak another word. Finally, Oliver, the youngest of the group, enters the jungle and decides that to avoid the dangers of the sky, the land, and the underground, he should probably boat down the river, even though it would take more time. So Oliver rode, and finally he made it to the base of the tree, where the fugitive Jared called home, and began to climb to the top of the tree, one stair at a time. After climbing what felt like 67 flights of stairs, Oliver finally managed to make it to the tippy top of the tree, gasping for air. But suddenly, out of thin air, Jared spawned, in front of Oliver's eyes. Oliver begged the horse to come with him to his kingdom, and Jared obliged, and Oliver saddled up and rode upon Jared's back to Calctopia. When Oliver returned to the castle with Jared, he immediately landed and escorted Jared inside, heading towards his mother's throne. But as soon as Queen G locked eyes with Jared, they both could sense each other's grand math skills and understood what was about to take place in this very hall. Jared and Queen G readied their pencils, sweat dripping down their foreheads, and they began to duel via math problems. Queen G completed the first 5 math problems with no time at all, as the sand in the hourglass poured down to the bottom of the chamber, while in that exact same amount of time, Jared had only completed 2 problems. Queen G completed 4 more math problems, and was down to her final one. But out of the blue, Jared had finished all 8 of his last questions. It was official that Jared was the best at math in all the lands, and Queen G was nothing but dust in the wind. This, though, enraged Queen G, who herself could not accept that anyone could be more powerful and knowledgeable than herself, and immediately knew what she must do to keep her people's faith in her. Queen G congratulated Jared on his win, and offered up to him a special golden carrot fetched straight from the most elusive patch in the jungle. Jared humbly accepted and ate the deliciously tasting carrot before beginning to convulse and fall to the carpet dead. It would turn out Queen G laced the carrot with Perimeter Python's venom to kill Jared before anyone would know of the results of the competition. Little did Queen G know up inside the clouds, lived Alzheimer's, the god of forgetfulness and dementia, who had watched the events unfold and was furious with Miss Queen G's deceitfulness. Alzheimer's came down from her home in the heavens and cursed upon Queen G that forevermore, any time she attempts a math problem for a second time, she will forget how to solve it. The end.